And the woman on the other end asked me, "Do you have a portfolio?" What's a portfolio? She told me to come on over and we could talk about it, and she recommended I buy a book. The book was called Drawing on the Right Side of the Brain. I got that book and went home and I started the first exercises. Now bear in mind, I couldn't even draw. I'd never done it before, and it took all my effort and all my focus. It was like a cripple learning how to walk. It's a transformational moment. I had been called. After 90 days, I went back. I had 90 drawings, and that same lady pulled 10 drawings out of that stack. And she said, "You're going to get in." I was shocked. How do you know? Because I'm the head of admissions. That fall, I started art school. I'd ended up at the best figurative art school in the country. I was taught the value of Western civilization. Beauty, excellence, the truth of the Creator, in whose image we are made. And it was a path to being on my best version. Everywhere I went, I carried books with pictures of Leonardo, Michelangelo, and Raphael. Renaissance art brought me back to being human, making, building, and creating. And I was reminded that man is made in the image of God, and I'd come home to a deep connection born out of my childhood in Italy. Every day with my grandfather, we had walked through the porticos, the piazzas, and the cathedrals. And now when I looked at Michelangelo's Pietà or the Laocoon, the reaction was visceral. This was not some old archaeological stuff. No, these artists set the standards. And this was my instruction manual. My reference, the figure. I was taught how to look at nature, translate the life model into art, using the visual grammar of anatomy, proportions, and diseño to organize millions of bits of information into one unified whole. This was the great artistic canon animated by conviction that reality is intelligible, that light signifies truth, and beauty discloses order. And the premise? What is the premise? That humans are spiritual humans, spiritual beings, yes. And art is the representation of human spiritual consciousness. There are rules to the game, and those rules carried objective truths, standards of excellence from the Greeks, the Romans, and the Renaissance. There was an understanding of the movement dictated by how the skeleton shifted under weight and force. It wasn't about our egos or our feelings. It was about objective, sacred truths, the laws of nature, our visual North Star. It was about the reality first told in Genesis. God saw all that He made, and it was very good. The standards aided us in deducing what we saw in the model under a light in a dark room. And there was a clarity between the shadows and the light. That was not about what they made in the contemporary art world. That I'm speaking about is the destruction and corruption of where we stand in relation to God. Yes, our individual experience is important, and perception brought uniqueness to the game, but the game needed to be universal and significant in meaning. The ultimate purpose? A visual narrative in service of the values of Western civilization. And now here's a sad truth. What I learned in the 80s in art school has been eliminated, led by an art world whose standards are about shocking and never been done before. The knowledge and aesthetics of Western civilization have been deemed irrelevant. I was in a spiritual war against being human and honoring God. Nothing, absolutely nothing, had any meaning. And the idea that we could replace God with ego and chaos led to some heated arguments with some of those teachers. I fought back. Get the hierarchy right. The ultimate creator is God, and I did not invent the universe. I am made in his image. My creative abilities stem from that godly source. Their response? God is dead. As a young sculptor, I anchored my vision with the teachers that taught me how to build a figure in line with the Renaissance. And it's a heroic way to perceive reality and translate that into art. This priceless definition of humans became my stewardship to play it forward. And for the next 35 years, I practiced my craft. Sculpting from models hidden away in dark studios in East Harlem and the South Bronx, with a single light source, just like Leonardo had recommended. The status quo, that's right, the status quo held in place by critics, academics, galleries, and museums shunned this traditional. They no longer aligned with the sacred principles of art. And this was a wall guarded by ignorant and arrogant Pharisees, full of ego with no room for the truth, goodness, or beauty. But general public gets it. Just look at the lines at the Vatican. In 2015, the next chapter opened, and I entered into a global competition for the National World War I Memorial. I beat out 360 design teams, and for 4.5 years, I fought against the Washington, D.C. bureaucracy for project approval. Exhausted and cynical, we finally passed through the gate, and I won the right to sculpt the National World War I Memorial. The result is a soldier's journey, 60-foot-long bronze wall, 38 figures, and that moment, yes, it presents that moment in history when 22 million people were decimated, and the world asked, is God dead? At the heart of that sculpture stands the shell-shocked figure. He is that definitive moment. Frozen in space, face twisted in turmoil, the shell-shocked soldier stands alone.